All right, what is up, everyone? This is Socks, and today I'm going to bring you the open field guide, which I've been working on for some time. Unfortunately, I decided to split it up into two parts. Okay, the first part will be primarily for beginners, and this will be this video. So, disclaimer: this video will mainly be for the beginners in this game. I'd say KVK 1 through KVK 3, maybe even the first SOC you play or SOC you play. I mainly did this because, as I noticed in game, a lot of people that were messaging me for tips or even to say hi were new players. Even this guy who asked me to give tips on open field. I guess this video is mainly for you. So a lot of the people I noticed message me or talk to me were newer players in newer kingdom. So when I was writing up the guide for open field, I decided to make this video primarily intended for beginners or newer players. So I wanted to make it more beginner friendly. So without further ado, I'll jump into it. So I'm going to go over first of all the absolute basics, or what I think is common knowledge for most of the players. So a lot of people probably already know this, but I want to go over it. Follow markers, okay? So when you fight in KVK or even just in general, you should see markers that your R4s or R5s, people in your leadership position, put down. And these markers are things you should follow at all times because they obviously want you to fight as a kingdom. So they put these markers and intend for you to follow it with your fellow alliance members so you can achieve some objective. So as you see, I have two markers here. One is push in. This is an altar fight also. This is an altar fight. So one is to push into the altar and the other is to fight until sad face. As you can see, I did fight with my Scipio March until sad face, and I'm sending the other Nevsky March in right now. This is just a picture I took. So it's important to follow markers because your R4s and R5s obviously know what's most important for everyone to be doing, and you should always do your best to meet their expectations and follow the markers. So number two, buy the newspaper. It may have a buff for war, so you can check right now as well. In the what is this called? The Lyceum of Wisdom. You just check and purchase newspaper. As you can see, it actually does have a buff for war, cavalry attack plus 1%. So that's something just very quick you can do to obviously get some extra stats when you're fighting. Pop, these are the three most important things I'd say when you fight that a lot of people I see forget to do. Pop a 50% expansion, pop a 10% defense or attack boost, as well as grab a rune. So these are very easy things to do. You just go to here. Hopefully you have these boosts, attack boosts, and the rune, which I don't have, but you can just walk to any holy site on the map. I'm in Home Kingdom right now, but any holy site where you're just these, I see it like this. Yeah, the diamonds on the map. But if you're in Lost Kingdom, obviously it'll look different, but they should still look like this, the sort of holy sites on the map, and pick up a rune there. The defense boost and attack boost you can get in the VIP shop as well as the expansions. But normally I buy the expansions from the courier shop when they're discounted. So you can see the defense boost here, the attack boost here, and the expansions are also here. But you can also buy the expansions from the courier shop when they're discounted. So these are three very important things to do. You can see I also have them activated here. Let's cut off. This is the 50% boost. This is my rune. I think I have the attack boost going on right there. So make sure you always have them on. Obviously, your trades will be a lot better if you have these three things because this means extra troops, and these two things often mean extra stats on the field. Okay, so check your city skin. This is also something which a lot of people may forget to do. I have two main city skins I use. I'd say probably I don't really use this one. This is my off-season skin, which gives me AP recovery. This is what I mainly use for PvP, right? The Twilight Fall skin. You can get this in KVK 1. I think it's an honor reward you get. I think placing top 20 will get you this. You can also buy it in the Season of Conquest shop, the Conquest shop I believe it's called, for a certain amount of season coins. I think it's 600,000 season coins. So this is a very good skin, especially if you're a mixed troop type player like me. And I tend to swap skins a lot. So when I'm in KVK, you just go here and you click apply. There you go. You just swap to the different skin. But I'm in off season, so I'll keep this skin to my AP recovery skin. Right. So just make sure you're aware of what city skin you're using when you fight. Watch your hospital. Yeah, a lot of people I notice in KVK take field deads, meaning your marches are on the field and somehow you get deads because your hospital's full and the troops die as a result of the hospital being full. So don't ignore the reminders as you can see in this picture. I highlighted. This is a reminder the game gives you. It's actually pretty recent. I think under a year ago they just implemented this, and it also sends you mails pretty frequently saying your hospital is 70% full, your hospital is 85% full, and usually just I full heal it. But early on, you may not need to full heal it. You can batch heal if you don't have as many troops being sent to your hospital. But always remember to check your hospital so it's not red and you're taking field deaths, of course. Do not reinforce a rally or garrison from far away unless you're anchoring a rally. I'll talk more about what anchoring a rally means a little bit later. So this should be pretty common sense. Do not reinforce a rally or garrison from far away because your troops are not physically there if you're reinforcing, but nobody else can join if your troops are reinforcing. So that basically means if you're reinforcing from a minute away, your troops are not going to be there for a minute. But the garrison or whatever rally you're reinforcing will act like it has the troop. It doesn't actually have the troops, but nobody else can join because your troops are in the process of joining. Okay, so try to avoid at all times reinforcing from far away, maybe like 5 to 10 seconds max if you're reinforcing. And I said again, I'll talk more about anchoring a rally a little bit. Make sure your teleports on territory don't take on multiple spots. This is also very important. We are very bad at this as well. As you can see, there's a lot of empty spots. All these empty spots, honestly, you can fit a lot more bases or cities here. So if you don't teleport properly, that leads to people having to march longer to get to the front lines or to get to the murder ball. So it's a lot of inefficiency if the TPs or teleports are not proper on territory. So as you can see, right, we have a lot of bad TPs. This is pretty common in a lot of kingdoms as well. So do try to do your best to TP and not take up multiple spots. Be a good alliance member, basically. Don't teleport to the very front if you don't have good tech or you're not a rally or garrison lead. This should be self-explanatory as well. T5s, or if you're an SOC, people with max tech should be in the front lines. So don't teleport to the very front if you're free to play or low spender, because obviously it's not gonna, you're not as impactful. I will even say I'm not as impactful as a rally, garrison lead, or even a max tech player later on. Even early game, if you're a T4 player, you should let the T5 players teleport to the front as well. Okay, always teleport onto alliance territory. This should be also something which you learn very early on. Always teleport onto the alliance territory. And you can also check, just go to the next flag next to you on your territory and check who's the owner of it, right? It should match your alliance. If it doesn't match your alliance, obviously that means you're not on alliance territory. And if you're not on alliance territory, that basically means you can be rallied by the enemy. And of course, if you're rallied by the enemy, that means you're obviously in a lot of trouble. So always try to stick onto alliance territory. In SOC also, there's a feature called coalitions. I'm not going to talk about that. I just want to talk about more of the basic knowledge. So always try to teleport onto alliance territory when you have the option. Okay. Always try to fight on alliance territory or neutral territory if possible. This is also very important. You can actually check the buffs you get if you go to technology and territory, right? You get these skills, Rapid March 1 and Rapid March 2, if you're marching to a target that is in alliance territory, which you'll normally be doing if you're fighting in alliance territory. So you basically get 22% march speed total if you're marching to a target in alliance territory. So that's why it's so important to fight in alliance territory, because you get buffs like this. You also get the territory guardian buff, which is 8% and 20% attack and 22% march speed if you're marching toward or fighting a territory enemy in alliance territory. So these are very impactful buffs which you can get if you're fighting on alliance territory. And neutral territory is obviously the second most preferred one, because you're not fighting in enemy territory, which means you're not giving the enemy buffs for fighting you. Set your commanders in the commander view. This is something just very quick you can do. Go to here, the commander view right here. This is my profile I went to right here. Then the commander view. You can see I set my commanders here. This is just a way to get a little bit extra stats. Everything helps for free to play, right? So I get 4% more stats if I set these three commanders. Sorry. You may not be using 2 marchers that early on, but just set it to Constable and Iron Guard, and that'll give you a little extra stats on the field. If you're fighting around a structure that's being rallied, watch for AoE. AoE is area of effect, assuming the rally is coming from the same coalition. This is a SOC or SOC feature, but I'll show you right here, as you can see. All that red area, the red damage you're seeing, or the red numbers, this is area of effect damage. That's Heraclius, who is a garrison commander, and his active skill basically deals AoE, or area of effect damage, to all targets that are in the area. So as you can see, you should try to avoid being hit by the area of effect damage. There's a small circle that goes off. I don't have a video for this, but there's a small circle that goes off that shows the sort of area of effect damage that's the commander's doing also. But just try to avoid being too close to the flag generally. Like, you see where I'm at? I'm not that close. Obviously, you see the marker, but try not to stay too close to the flag. If you're rallying the flag and the flag has an AoE or AoE garrison commander. Join voice chat if your kingdom has one set up for war. This is very helpful as well. Actually, I played in a Vietnamese kingdom until KVK like 8 maybe. So I played in there for a long time. And they did not have a voice chat setup, or they didn't even probably speak English, honestly. So once I migrated to 1235, they did speak English. The voice chats were very nice. Obviously, for coordination, right? You want to join a kingdom that preferably speaks your language, right? So I speak English, right? And you want to join a voice chat or a kingdom that speaks your language, which is very helpful for getting coordinated and making sure you're on track and doing what you need to do in war. All right, ball up for King's Kill. For those who don't know what King's Kill is, it's called the leader buff. You can check under the Lost Temple. Go here, and you go to King's Kill. Most people just call it the King's Kill, but it's called the leader skill. This is the skill which we see. It gives 3% all damage to all nearby troops from the same kingdom. This is also very important. From the same kingdom for 10 minutes. So you cannot buff allies or people from different kingdom with the leader buff. And how it looks like is, I can show you a video. This is from my altar fight a while back. Load. There we go. So as you can see, a little blurry. It starts with a sort of crown, right? You see the crown there. And then we'll pop our own King's Skill in a little bit. So it turns the enemies red. And we'll see the crown in ours shortly. So there's our crown. Right? And we turn red as well. Okay, so that's the King's Skill being popped by both the enemy and us. And that gives bonus all damage, as you saw, to all the troops that are affected in the King's Skill. So now that we saw like sort of all the basic tips, I'm going to show you a report of what not to do. So this is my friend Adrian, who does watch my videos as well, and he sent me this report, and he was like, I'm cooking. And I don't think he was even kidding when he sent me this report. So there's a lot of things wrong with this report. First of all, as you can see, he's not even using a 50% expansion. He somehow took deads. So I'm assuming either I'm not sure, maybe he hit a flag or hit a garrison, or maybe his hospital was full and it overflowed. But either way, you should not be using a 25% expansion, and you should always avoid taking deads on the field, because taking deads on the field is obviously very bad. You want to be losing your troops in garrisons, or maybe, mainly garrisons actually, yeah. So what you should be doing, I have a few reports. This report was about 9 months ago, as you can see. So as you see, I have a 50% expansion. I am fighting in the ball, and I am trading pretty well, as you can see. That's like almost 10-to-1 trades, which is pretty good. So obviously 50% expansions, using good commanders, staying in the ball, just doing your due diligence as an open field member will get you good trades. Okay, this is a more recent report from my last KVK, so you can see the date. So I used a 50% expansion. As you can see, the murder ball is a lot bigger. This was a 2429, one of the stronger one Alliance Imperiums right now. So as you can see, I got quite a lot of KP in this one report. Scipio Luce, both maxed, 50% expansion, fighting in a big ball. So just do these small things, and obviously you will trade well as long as you know what you're doing, for the most part. I'll probably talk more about field fighting at a later time, though. So I'm going to talk about the best runes for field fighting. So this is what I noticed over probably my 10 or 11 KVKs I've played. The Rune of Fire, the 7 attack and 7 defense rune, is the best rune I've noticed overall for trading on the field. I'm not sure why. I'm just assuming it's a lot of stats, right? 14% stats obviously adds up to a lot when you're fighting. So I'd say this rune gave me the best trades overall on the field. I know a lot of people would say the Rune of the Life, the 10% health rune, would give you the best trades, but I've noticed the Rune of Fire is just much better in my opinion. I've been using it for a while now, and it's just been doing better in my opinion. The second rune, and the reason I think this will be a little controversial, but I think it's the best rune for free to play and low spenders as well, is the Rune of Wind. Okay, the 7% attack and 7% March speed rune. You must be thinking, attack, is that even good? March speed, is that even good? I would say March speed is one of the most important things that free to plays need. Just getting around in general, refreshing your marches, uh, walking to the field faster, chasing down marches and balls. March speed is very, very important. And a lot of people honestly underplay how important March speed is. I think it is one of the most important things in the game, especially for free to play and low spenders. So I would rate the Rune of Wind as a very high priority rune to get. It's honestly, I've not even seen people like market or anything, but I think this rune is honestly very good if you don't have access to the Rune of Fire. So I'd rate it as a number 2 rune to get or prioritize overall. All right, third, the Rune of Life. Right, this is the rune. I heard people in KVK 1, KVK 2, KVK 3 like telling me this is the best rune, but I noticed that my trades were honestly better with the Rune of Fire. But this rune is definitely still good, 10% health. A lot of people say health is like the best stat in the game. It's debatable. I mean, it is the best in situations, but I'd say this rune just gives me the best trades. So honestly, I've been playing for a while now, and I can tell you that the Rune of Fire honestly has given me the best trades overall. So I'd say the Rune of Life does fall to probably number 3 on my tier list for runes if you wanted to gather them at holy sites. The fourth rune should sort of come as no surprise now. The Rune of Guardian, the 10% defense rune. Health and defense are both like stats that are highly prioritized, and I noticed that these probably are 2 of the better runes, but I'd say these 2 are still the best. The fifth rune I'd put the Rune of Fire. 10% stats is quite a lot, and if you don't have access to the first 4 runes, I think this rune is very good as well. So I would say these are the top 5 runes I'd pick. I know these 2 might seem a little controversial to some people, but I've noticed that playing for quite a while, these runes have given me the best trades overall. Okay, and coming down here, okay, let's start with some key terms for beginners. Okay, the Murder Ball or the Ball. This is a term you'll hear a lot. So you'll probably hear ball more than murder ball. So what is a ball or murder ball, you might be asking? It's basically when multiple marches from the same kingdom, alliance, or coalition try to get as close to each other in a very tight ball. So the reason we do this, first of all, is so that more marches can be affected by the king skill I showed you earlier, the leader buff. And it can only buff marches from your kingdom as well. So the tighter the ball, the more marches can be affected by the king skill in that area. And there are 2 main ways which to use a murder ball or ball. So first is to push an objective. So say your kingdom's rallying an enemy structure, you would ball up with everyone else and then try to clear the enemy murder ball or any marches that are on the field. So this way they cannot swarm your incoming rally or easily reinforce structures if you basically depleted their field presence. So you'll generally be on enemy territory when pushing objectives, so you generally should expect slightly worse trades if they're fighting on their territory as well. If your ball is being pushed, you should obviously try to hold for as long as you can until your marches get low or sad face, then refresh and try to join the ball. If you're defending with a murder ball, generally you'll have the luxury of a shorter refresh time because most of your bases will be on, most of your alliance members' bases will be on or near territory and closer to the ball. So you have a faster refresh time as well as the alliance territory buffs. So I'd say it's much easier to defend if you have larger numbers, but that's not always the case. So I also have a video for this as well. This was our last KVK when we were in Kingsland against 1903 and 2429. So it's a little hard to get it moving. I'll just open a link. So this is us pushing a flag. As you can see, we're sort of moving into their enemy territory. And you can see a little bit later, the rally is launching. The reason we do this is so we can clear the field first. As you can see, we've basically cleared all their field that was here. And then a few seconds later, the rally will hit. I think it's hitting right now, actually. Yeah, there it goes. So the rally is hitting right now. So basically the purpose of Murder Ball is to, in this situation, was to clear the field away from the flag so that the rally can basically hit the flag and not be swarmed. So this is one way to use a Murder Ball. There are many other ways, of course, but this is one way you can say. Batch healing, okay? Healing your hospital in smaller batches instead of fully healing your hospital. So you can check how to batch heal. So 90 minutes is the required time to basically instantly collect your troops. So let's say 2,600, how much is that? So you try to get as close as you can to 90 minutes or 1 hour and 30 minutes. And if you press the heal button and you get 30 helps, you can basically instantly collect it. And you can also heal in larger batches, like I can just hit heal like this. And for those of you who don't know, you're limited to 1,000 helps a day. That does impact you quite a lot in war early on, but later on I'd say it's not as impactful, mainly because most players later on will just click full heal on their hospital. For instance, I do that basically every time, except when I'm in ruins. I'd say when I open field fight, your hospital fills up very fast when you use a lot of marches, but early on batch healing, if you just heal 90-minute batches, that's usually sufficient enough if you're fighting with 1 or 2 marches. Anchoring, so this is something that you might not hear about early, but it's when someone sends one troop from very far away to delay or anchor the rally until the rally needs to be launched. So this can be used to set up double or triple rallies on structures and can be used to launch a rally after you gain control of the field. So as you can see here, this rally is waiting. But this rally was actually anchored. It's not someone that accidentally sent a troop from very far away. This is, as you can see, it's not the right troop type. I think it was siege. We normally send a T1 siege to anchor the rally from very far away. And when the rally leader is ready, they basically kick the T1 siege from the rally and the rally launches. So this rally is waiting until the best moment to launch it, and then we kick the T1 siege and then the rally launches. So it's used at a opportune time basically. So an anchor is basically a strategy I haven't seen until pretty recently actually, but I've been playing in lower seed, so maybe you might not see it as much in lower seed. Dive. Okay, this is when you send all your marches to swarm a rally or counter rally. So there was a player last KVK, his name was Tsunami from 2429. He dived basically every rally. I think his marches are here as well. But diving is when you launch, your alliance launches a rally and the enemy basically swarms it when they have no field presence. So as you can see, our rally is coming from here. And you will basically see a bunch of people come out right now. Here they come. And they all try to swarm the rally now. And they basically have no field. So this is sort of like a one-way trip for them. They know they're going to get swarmed as well, but they want to get the rally down and swarm the rally so they don't lose the flag or any important objective or territory. As you can see, I'm trying to fill the rally as well. But yeah, this is basically what diving looks like. So they try to swarm the rally. They basically know they're going to take a lot of losses. This is usually done by whales, so don't dive if you're free to play or low spender, I'd say. Okay. Swarm is anything that refers to many people or marches that attack something or someone at the same time. So it can even, I wouldn't say apply to barbarians, but when you get that sort of surrounded thing, surrounded times 3, surrounded times 4, that's basically saying you're swarming something. This is sort of a term which can be used for a lot of things. You can swarm a rally, you can swarm people, you can swarm bases, you can swarm a lot of things. Swarm is sort of a universal term. Rage load. Rage load is when you stack up your rage, okay, close to your active skill, then swap targets and cast your active skill. So I can do that with, like, say, if I go here. So basically you stack up your rage bar on one target, then you quickly swap to another target to cast your active skill. So I'm going to try this with what did I use? A Chandra Heraclius March. As you can see, I'm attacking one target. It's a little slow because my rage bar is slow. Basically, when your active skill is close to firing, you switch targets like this. And then you try, obviously it shouldn't take this long, but then you basically get the AoE off and you hit multiple targets with it. Obviously in field, it'll look a lot different. When I play, I try to hit as many targets as I can. So I switch targets as often as possible. And the reason you want to rage load is because you don't want to let your rage meter reset in combat. That's very bad if your rage meter resets. Basically, that means that you're losing your rage and you have to build up your rage to your active skill again. That effectively means you're losing a lot of damage, essentially. Whale tank, That's basically what you shouldn't do. It's basically letting enemy marches attack you and you don't run. So do not attempt it if you're free to play or low spender. This is something which only people who can afford to do it should. So basically you stand at the front and you just basically sad face. You take the bad trades for your alliance. So I don't recommend doing this. It's basically saying I'm gonna be the team player. I'm kingdom first mentality. I'm tanking for you guys so you guys get better trades. So that's what whale tanking is. Basically, don't do it though. You'll hear the term a lot though. Okay, field fighting basics. So these are some things you should always be considering or doing as an open field fighter. Always be fighting in your kingdoms or coalition's murder ball. That's where the best trades will be. I see a lot of people often going off to the sides or not fighting in the ball directly or even city hopping. Murder balls are where the kill points are at. So you always want to be fighting in your kingdom's murder ball. The middle of the murder ball is where you want to be, so you can hit the maximum possible targets with your AoE, or your area of effect abilities. So I always try to position myself in the middle or the front of the murder ball, because that's the best spots generally to be when you fight. You usually want to retreat when your marches are yellow or red, as your trades will get worse the lower health your marches go. So I always try to retreat when I'm yellow or entering red, like very soon after. Your marches will get your trades will get progressively worse as your marches get lower. So do avoid fighting till sad face unless you need to push some objective and your leadership says fight till sad face. I showed you a marker like that earlier. Try to change targets as frequently as possible, because when a target dies and you're not close enough, you will exit combat and your rage resets. That's sort of what I was talking about rage loading. It sort of overlaps with this, that you do not want your rage to reset. So obviously try to cycle your rage as much as possible on as many targets as possible. Basically hitting as many targets as possible without going out of your way. This is something which some people may disagree with. Hit the closest march. Some people say to prioritize attacking certain commanders. I think that's personally not the best idea, as it may pull you further into the enemy murder ball. So say if you see an Aethel or a Richard, you may want to hit that march and it goes further back into the murder ball. I would just say hit the closest march. Try to build up your rage bar as much as possible. Try to get as many active skill casts as you can. I actually took a video of me fighting. Of course, it doesn't work again. So when I fight, this is with one march I'm going to show you. This was an altar fight. So as you can see, we do the king skill again. And then when we push, I always try to just hit the closest march that's possible. I don't go deep in. I don't look at marches. I just hit the closest march. So as you see, I'm targeting the Nevsky right now, or the closest Nevsky. As you see, I'm just engaging, building up my rage bar. I click a lot when I fight. So you can see my march sort of going all over the place. And I always want to reposition as close as I can to the middle or the front of the murder ball. As you can see, I'm trying to get back to the middle. The marches do tend to drift when you fight, so you always want to try to reposition your marches, as I'm doing. As you see, I'm trying to get in the middle. I'm trying to pick another target and cast my active skill. There we go. And this continues for a while, right? You just sort of pace yourself, hit as many targets as you can with your AoE, and eventually, you either win or lose. In this situation, we did win. We did push them back a little bit, but it is very back and forth, this sort of fights. You'll learn more as you sort of play and watch other people. I think I do have a report at the end. As you see, my march is yellow and then red, and then I start to run when it's red. Okay, so this one, I don't think we had to fight until we're sad-faced. So as you see, the report was pretty good though, so not a bad report. So you can see 2.7 mil KP. So really just making sure that when you're in the ball, you just try to fight in the middle of the murder ball. That's always where the trades are the best. Middle or front of the murder ball, I'd say it's the best possible places. I don't want to cover more in this video. I'd say that's good enough. But if you like this video, let me know. I think I talked about a lot of tips that would be very helpful, especially for newer players. If I knew things like this early on in my KVK 1 or KVK 2, I think I would have done a lot better early on. It's sort of a learning process, this game, right? And people don't explain things to you. Sometimes you just have to pick up things. And I think this guide would be helpful for a lot of new players. Even if I was starting off new, I think this would be very helpful. The next video will be covering more sort of advanced topics, but I didn't want to make this video too long, so I'll cut it off here. And yeah, I'll cover the rest of this. As you can see, it's a little bit longer in the next video.